Santa Claus? I'm afraid not.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, toys in every store.
I only wish I could hand out more than just expensive baubles. I wish I could hand out world peace.
And welcome back to the SuperCaZt, everybody. Superfotion Stevesy here with you guys, and if you think you're in some kind of time vortex, you're not. This is our second attempt at Batman Returns. We did this movie, I guess, about a year ago now, huh?
Yeah, it was one of our last year's Christmas episodes, but yeah, yep. I don't remember that at all. I don't remember what we talked about. We might do some retread, so if you're like a longtime fan, hopefully it's not the same thing, but my thing is we thought it was warranted just because it's we're different people now. We're better at reviewing movies, we're better at podcasting, hopefully. And we think we'll just do a better episode. So we're like, why not? Because basically we had like 2 Christmas episodes we're going to do. And we were just like, Batman Returns. Both of us just, let's do that one. So,
definitely.
So sorry for you people that wanted to see us sit down and watch the Santa Claus or Elf or something like that. We did Batman Returns, and later we're going to do Die Hard. So that's our sort of Christmas type thing.
Yeah, so... Merry Christmas, and hope everybody's having a good holiday. This movie is a very interesting film because, yes, we do consider it a Christmas movie. It's based around Christmas, so it's a Christmas film. Like you said, like Die Hard and all the others. And this is a film that you and I have had a long history with. And it's one of those films that the older you get, the nuttier this film just seems. I mean, it's just kind of a crazy film. It came off the heels of Batman, of course, in 1989, and this one came out in 92, I think?
Yeah.
That's a pretty long time if you think about it. I didn't realize it was that long. I mean, that's 3 years, something like that. And
they actually used to do like pre-production back then, so I guess they were building sets and all that good stuff.
Right.
And I think Burton did like Edward Scissorhands somewhere in between there.
And I don't know, maybe you can tell me, was this always the plan to do at least these 2 films?
Well, I know they've had plans for the third one, but because of the reaction to this one, which we have to get into later, they did sort of a course correction. Like, it's not in the way that, I don't know, like the Star Wars movies where they just seem like just different, but they definitely I think they wanted to ride with Burton at the time. I think he proved that he could do a good film with the 89, and Keaton loved him, and everybody loved Keaton, so they kept it around. They kept the band together, but this one in particular, they let Burton do his thing, and it's to mixed results. As you said, this is a very interesting film. I think you said it gets weirder as you get older. I think it is. I think we didn't totally get all the weirdness and the bizarre stuff that happens in this film. It just kind of went over our heads, or some of it's just like, it seems like something that happens in a comic book film or a Batman movie or something like that. We didn't question it.
Still, could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood. Your nose could be...
But I think as we've gotten older, and especially from my experiences, I've got a deeper appreciation for this film. Like, I think it's when it comes to craftsmanship, I think it's perfect. I was digging like the mise en scene while I was watching it this time, to get a little technical here, but just all the little things that they had going on with the characters, with the framing of them, the stuff in the background. It's an immaculate film, and I think it definitely needs some respect, needs some shine put on its name, because I guess it's the Nolan trilogy and then the recent Matt Reeves one. People just kind of they like to hate on the Burton stuff. I don't know what it is, but maybe we'll get into that a little bit later, why that is the case.
Can I have your attention, Gotham City? It is time for tonight's lighting of the tree. How about that?
Well, and obviously you're gonna compare Batman and Batman Returns, and I think one of the first things that I notice about this film is Gotham's not as dirty as it is in the first film. There's a lot of just dirtiness and smoky stuff going on here, and yeah, I mean it's still kind of a rough place, Gotham and everything. But it just seems a lot nicer. It seems like they cleaned up their act a little bit, and it's not as dirty and kind of slimy. And I don't know if that was. I'm sure that was his call and everything. I mean, obviously, like you said, this is Burton's ticket. This is his film, and they're gonna let things go that they probably wouldn't have with other people. And it makes for a very interesting film. Is it comic book savvy? Probably not completely, because Burton was not necessarily a comic book fan. I think he's a fan of the character Batman. And I guess you can be a fan of one and not the other. But I think this approach to be a little bit more Burton is all I can say, because there's definitely a lot more Burton stuff in here than in the first movie.
Yeah, and like you said, the Gotham City's different. It's he's definitely leaning into more like this sort of a German expressionism type thing. Once again, I think it's too film critical of here, but you can definitely see this. Like it's the first one. It's set in like a sort of Art Deco 1940s type thing. Right. It's also mixed with the 80s, which is kind of random because you have Prince music playing and people with big hair and stuff. But this one, I don't even know what era they were going for. It's kind of like its own thing. And like Gotham City, yeah, it's not as dirty, but I think it's a little bit crazier. I mean, just randomly, these circus goons start attacking people at the lighting of a tree ceremony at the beginning of this film, and Batman just shows up, and everyone's like, "Yep, we expected Batman to be here to save the day." Because in this one, you see him and Gordon like talking to each other. We're assuming Batman's a bigger deal, and I guess maybe that's the deal. Is he's cleaned up the town a little bit in the past 3 years, got rid of some of the crime, made some people scared to do stuff. But this one is definitely different. It's like we said, he's leaning more into his Burtonisms, and that's. Some people might not like that, and that's kind of how this was taken at the time. Was this one was just too weird? It was too dark. Yeah. Especially since they marketed it towards kids, because they knew they knew that we would buy the toys. We would,
and we did.
We did. This was a big marketing campaign, and I love this film. But I could see how certain kids at certain scenes, it probably didn't go over too well with them, because. It's pretty gothic, pretty gritty at times, but I like how you said you were trying to figure out if it's comic book savvy is your term. I know it's not comic book accurate, but I think it kind of gets the vibe of a comic book down. I think it's got the old. We're just gonna roll with it, and there's a penguin guy. He just was born that way, and he was raised by penguins in the sewer, and. There's also this lady. She fell out a window, and now she's a zombie cat lady. We just roll with it. We accept it. It's definitely comic book logic. We don't need further explanations than that. And I think if you really can vibe with that tone and sort of that with that feel of this film, then you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna enjoy it.
I was their number one son, and they treated me like number two. But it's human nature to fear the unusual.
I've heard people say that the first film should have been called Joker, because it was really more about Joker than it was Batman. And you could almost argue that you could have called this one then Penguin, because it seems like it's more about Penguin. You get this backstory where this kid is born, and he's obviously a deformed kid. And what do? They just toss him over the river. I mean, starting there, that is a very dramatic thing to do. And, like you said, you kind of just roll with it. But I was watching it some time ago, and I was thinking, really? That's the logic they're going with? They're going to just toss the baby? You're not going to leave it on the doorstep of a police officer, or, here's, kill the kid, basically. And that's pretty dark. I mean, that's pretty sinister right there. And the fact that the parents don't even get comeuppance for any of that, they just kind of ride off in the sunset. That's an interesting start to start this film, don't you think?
Yeah, and it definitely shows you this is going to be darker this time around. I mean, we saw this little baby, whatever this thing is, kill a cat in the first few minutes, and then, like you said, it gets tossed in the ocean. I mean, not the ocean, into the river, and ends up in the sewers. Yep. And yeah, it does have the comic book trope coming in as we bring in the school, we bring in the theme. It's Batman Returns, but it's different this time. Like you're saying, it's darker, and I think as we're getting, if we were ready to get into Penguin now, Danny DeVito as Penguin,
we have to, yeah.
Oswald Cobblepot, he's not the same as the comic book. He's not the same as the 66.
Nope.
He's not the same as whatever they're going for now. This is like its own thing, and I think it kind of works for this film. I think, like you're saying, he gets raised in a sewer. He is not cultured. He is an animal.
Right.
And it shows you what happens when somebody is raised in this sort of environment. He becomes this thing that just hates humanity. He hates everybody. Yeah. And he, at the same time, I think he's more complicated than that. I think he wants to be accepted. I think he wants to sort of capture the life that he never got. But then, as he finds out later, is whenever Batman kind of like makes a fool out of him and his true colors are shown to everybody, he realizes, no, these people are never going to accept me. They're never going to love me. And that is, like you're saying, it's very dark. It's very kind of a rough thing to throw into a kid's, or not, I wouldn't say kids movie, into a movie that's geared
a comic book movie anyways.
A comic book movie, yeah, definitely.
That's not rated R or anything like that, yeah.
By the way, how's Fred Atkins, your old partner?
I believe he's on extended vacation. He's good.
Good. Hiya, Max. Remember me? I'm Fred's hand.
You could easily say that the Penguin is a villain of the film, but I would argue that Max Schreck is an even worse villain, because he convinces him to do all this stuff so he can, get the notoriety and, prestige and all of that. And I think, first of all, you got to talk about Danny DeVito. There's been a lot of really good people that have portrayed the Penguin, both in the cartoon and in this movie, and even in The Batman. I really loved what Colin Farrell did with his version of the Penguin. I thought that was really interesting. But this one, like you said, this is definitely Burton's Penguin. This is somebody that would probably hung out with, Beetlejuice or something like that. This guy's got the Burton look, and really impressive. And I really love what Danny DeVito does, because he is menacing. He's scary. He is. You almost really do feel for this guy. Like, there is some compassion there, even towards the end of the film. You can't really give Joker any compassion because he was just kind of a psycho from start to finish. Whereas, I was saying with Max Schreck, he's the one that kind of turns Oswald into the Penguin, quote unquote.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think everything you just said. I think DeVito's performance is awesome. While he's doing it, I don't know if this guy's ever done any stage, but it reminds me of something like a Shakespearean type thing.
Yes.
He's not speaking as eloquently as, let's say, the Penguin does in the comics a lot, or in like more modern adaptations, but he's commanding. He's got energy. You are drawn to him when he's making these big old speeches, when he's plotting, when he's just speaking what is on his mind. And I think that's a really big part of the performance, because he's got that power. He's got that gravitas.
Yep.
And you should be looking at this thing and like, what am I looking at? This guy's weird looking, but at the same time, you're drawn to him. He's grotesque, yes. And that's in the performance. He's gross. He's nasty. He eats raw fish. and he's got flippers for hands. I'm sure he did not have fun getting into this bodysuit and this makeup, but I think that transformation that he makes is great, and it shows you just why they picked Danny DeVito for this role. I think obviously he's got the stature for it, but also he's got the acting chops to pull it off, and
most definitely.
You've got the magic. Your charisma's bigger than both of us. Come on.
Mayor. Max, elections happen in November. Is this not late December?
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and getting into what you're saying about Shrek, not the guy that hangs out with Donkey, but Max Shrek, played by Christopher Walken. He's the true villain. I think the way I looked at him is basically Penguin. He's the monster that he's cool being the monster. He is the monster that's there on the front page of the news. You read about the Penguin gang and all that stuff. But Shrek is the monster that will smile at you as he's being a monster. He's getting rich off the people. When he comes in, he makes that speech at the beginning. He's like, I wish I could have something other than packages to give out to you people. That stupid speech where he's just so corny. And even when he's just throwing the presents out there, he thinks he's doing these people a favor. I mean, they probably opened it like, what is this? This is like just a piece of junk or something. He is evil. He's wretched. And we see that so many scenes, how he's able to just turn from this like smiling guy that'll just next minute he'll push his secretary out the window. He's very unhinged, and I think that's what kind of joins these two villains together. Is they're both crazy, they're both unhinged. But I think, like I was saying, Penguin, he's okay with being a monster. Shrek, he's the monster, but he's not willing to admit it, I don't think.
Yeah, he's wanting to hide behind a mask, so to speak, And what I really love about this film is how the Batman, and you can't say, enough about what Michael Keaton does with the character, and especially in the suit, and when he drives by where Penguin is like trying to find his parents, there is genuine care and I think empathy there that Batman Bruce Wayne is playing, because he knows he lost his childhood, and he makes the comment that he hopes he finds his parents, and he does. He ends up doing that, and I think that's a really touching scene. And you really care for what Oz is going through, because you're like, yeah, that would suck. All the while, there's Max in the background being the puppet master, if you will, and he ends up creating these two just super villains, so to speak, with Catwoman. But I love that scene where Max is meeting with Bruce and Selena walks in and she is just not even there. Like, she is just like a zombie.
Did you injure yourself on that ski slope? Is that why you cut short your vacation? Came back?
It's a blur. I mean, not complete amnesia. I remember Sister Mary Margaret puking in church and Betsy Riley saying it was morning sickness, and I remember the time I forgot to wear my underpants to school. Keith Friedberg.
Yeah, so that scene that you're talking about, I wrote it down in my notes too. That's a scene that I probably didn't even pay attention to as a kid, but now I see what's going on here as far as the inner conflict within Michael Keaton's character, within Batman, because he wants the Penguin to be legit. He wants this thing to kind of work out. He doesn't want to be right. I want to say that, early on he thinks the Penguin's kind of bad. He's not to be trusted, but then he's like, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is good. Maybe he is going to do good for the people. And I think he's kind of disappointed whenever he finds out, no, this guy's kind of evil, kind of messed up. But Michael Keaton, I've heard a lot of people say that this is not a very good Batman movie because Batman's not in it that much. I don't really think that's the case. I think this one, they balance out the 3 or 4 main characters pretty well. And I think he does a lot with this performance. You just have to be paying attention to it. That, like I was saying, there's this inner conflict. But even more so than that, I think Batman the character, he's kind of addicted to this personality now. He takes joy in beating the crap out of bad guys and killing them at times. I mean, we see this Batman kill, and I know a lot of people have something against that because obviously Batman's not supposed to kill people, but this Batman kills people and he'll smile about it as he's toasting them. And I think that creates a pretty unique experience, but also a unique portrayal by Keaton. What do you think?
I feel like Burton had a lot to do with that. I really feel like that that was one of the things that Burton wanted to do. He wanted to take Batman away from the squeaky clean 1960s version and just really show him for the monster that he could be. Now, granted, he's not beating up on innocent people, and so the argument could be made at least he's, going after the right people. But, there's a scene where he basically puts a grenade down somebody's pants and punches him and he blows up. That guy has to be dead. I mean, that's a death right there. And, I don't remember, of course this is way back before internet and all this kind of thing, but I don't remember a lot of people saying, oh man, Batman's violent, he's, and having an uproar. I think this movie did pretty good. I know there was a lot of backlash. There was probably some backlash that I wasn't even aware of for The Darkness. But I just don't think he ever crosses too far. Yes, does he cross the line a little bit? Sure. But I don't think he crosses that far. At least, I don't think so. I think if anything, he gets to the line and where, Catwoman will kill Shrek. By the way, spoiler alert, But Catwoman will kill Shrek, and I guess Batman kills the Penguin, but
inadvertently.
But yeah, but yeah, that's just it though. I think Burton, like I said, Burton has a lot to do with the tone and what happens in here. And while it's definitely not comic book accurate, so to speak, and maybe a little aggressive, I still think all of it works in the narrative that he's trying to tell.
Yeah, that's the way I interpret it, because I know there are some people out there that say this is not a comic book accurate Batman, so therefore I don't like it. I know that's the Kevin Smith at the time. He was making a huge deal about it, and you know what? I don't really care what you think, Kevin Smith. So if I want to enjoy this film, I'm going to enjoy this film. To me, it works within this world, within the story they're trying to tell. This Batman, he's complicated, he's conflicted, and they don't have a scene where he's sitting there saying, you know what, I'm complicated, I'm conflicted. No, it's all done with acting. It's all done with the story. To me, it's the scene where he and Alfred are just like talking, and I'm like, man, he can't talk to Alfred even. He's like, he can't have a normal interaction with anybody in this film until, boom, boom, this lady walks into his life. This lady that kind of sees the way he does, or at least he's getting that sort of off of her. And that's why I think the Catwoman dynamic actually works.
Mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it.
But a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it.
What do you make of zombie Catwoman, by the way? Like, is that not messed up when you sit there and think about it? Because it's just like, she died. I can't explain how the cats brought her back to life, but they do. And there's no real explanation, at least I can gather. They just brought her back to life. And like you said earlier, it's just one of those things that you just ride with. I don't ever remember questioning it when I was a kid, necessarily. But I did the other day. What do you think?
Yeah, I question it to an extent, but like we were saying, they've created this tone, they've created this world where stuff like this happens. That I kind of just I guess she liked cats in real life. The cats liked her, so they come and they resurrect her. She comes back and
Gentle, it's my first time.
I think some people, once again, like you're saying, they don't like the zombie thing. It's not explained. But to me, Michelle Pfeiffer and sort of this this bond that she established with her character, but also with Michael Keaton. I think that's a cool part of the film that I definitely didn't notice as a kid, but now I really appreciate this thing that a lot of people probably don't like, is the romance in it.
No. Yeah, it's interesting to me because I feel like at first I would say, well, Kim Basinger's Vicky Vale was a better love interest than Selena Kyle, but as far as relating and being able probably to kind of help each other out, he's probably better suited with Selena. And then they had that scene in the house where he brings up Vicky Vale, and so they're connecting the movies. That is a connected universe. That's saying those events happened, that canon, Joker's dead, and that's true. Joker does not come back, and I don't think they even talk about him in the entire film. So he's dead and gone. And then this Catwoman comes, and Vicky Vale where'd she go? What happened to that? Because they seem pretty tight at the end of Batman, but then 4 years later, she's hit the bricks, and they don't explain that. So you kind of just roll with it and say, all right, yeah, I guess he's got to have a love interest. And if it's going to be somebody, it's got to be somebody like Selena Kyle, who's this damaged goods, kind of like he is. It took me a while to come around to all that. It really did. I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't know why it took me so long, but it took me a while to really go, okay, yeah, I think I do. I think it does work better with Catwoman. But even, she goes away, and we'll talk about the ending here later on. But it's a weird thing. Do you feel like that they did enough to validate a relationship between Batman and Catwoman, or Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, if you will?
I mean, I think they could have definitely done more because they don't have a ton of scenes together. But for me, it works. I think it's definitely something where you have to fill in the gaps a little bit and just take it for what you see. It's like he's changed when he sees her. He's acting differently. And the scene where they're at the party and they're the only two not wearing masks, it's a really effective thing that's going on there. The film is communicating this. It's like they have their mask off. They're being real with each other right now. And then they find out about each other's dark secret, and they're like, okay, so now this is complicated. And I like that added dynamic. I like how they just threw that in there. And as we're getting to back what you were saying, she is different than him. She is more reckless. She is more willing to not have any sort of reservations whatsoever when she does stuff. And because her character, I love that when she is made, when she comes in back to her apartment, she's just trashing the place. Her character is trying to get away from like norms, trying to get away from what she thought she had to be, and now she's trying something different out. She's trying out a new lifestyle, and it's really extreme, but you kind of cheer for her a little bit. You're kind of like, okay, go out there and have some fun, because she was pretty miserable at the beginning of the film, and I think Michelle Pfeiffer does a great job of showing this transformation in Selena.
I agree. Yeah, I think she definitely shows the damaged goods. And going back to the party scene, I've heard it said that in that scene, the masks that Bruce and Selena wear are their faces. That Catwoman and Batman are the real people, and Bruce and Selena are actually the disguise. So if you want to even go deeper on that, they are wearing masks. Is it just a different kind of a mask? And that makes a lot of sense because they're hiding a lot of damage between them. I mean, I think a therapist would probably have a field day with both of them for what they went through.
Meow.
To me, the thing that kind of works and makes this like superb filmmaking for me is just the vibe. And we've talked about the set design a little bit and just the way Gotham City looks, but to me it's all held together by Danny Elfman and this score, because I think the score for the first one's really good, but I think the score for this one's better. I think it's got more tones, it's got more just places it goes. Like even in the main theme, he evokes a lot of emotion. He evokes mysterious stuff. He evokes the Christmas spirit, and he also brings in the Batman triumph, and it all is kind of blended into his score, and it's really cool. What do you think about Danny Elfman in this one?
I love it. I think it's fantastic. I agree with you. I think he took what he did so well with the first one and just upped it, times 100. He's got that choir that kind of sings in the background, and it's, for lack of a better term, it's just more gothic sounding. And I think that's what really is one of the biggest parts of the film, at least for my sake, that works, is that every time you hear a piece of music, it evokes some sort of emotion, and it's very emotionally charged music. And there's a lot of emotions in this movie. There's a lot more, self, inspection and everything, and there's a lot of more psychological things going on that is makes the plot deeper, I think, than what you saw with Batman. Batman was definitely a comic book more type film, whereas Batman Returns is this almost neo-noir psychological thriller kind of thing. And there's a lot going on with the tone and everything, but the music really sets you up for what I think Burton's doing with the plot, and really just hammering home that this is a dark film, and it's kind of operatic in a way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and it's neat. I thought about it when I was watching it, but whenever you were speaking, it really clicked for me. Is structurally this one is different. The other one, they progress the plot a lot of times through like the newsreels and the Joker, like jumping into the Joker scenes. This one has a lot more just scenes where nobody's really talking. They're just like Batman's driving around in his car or something, or you look at the Penguin just like hanging out with his people, and it's one of those things where it makes it feel like the film it's kind of aimless at some points, but to me it's still building up. It's kind of immersing you into this world a little bit, getting you to know these characters more, because like you said, that's what this one's more concerned with, is developing these characters more and seeing how damaged they are and sort of how they all react to this psychological issues that they're all dealing with, such as Penguin, he lashes out. Catwoman, she just goes nuts as far as like anything goes, and Batman, like you're saying, he doesn't know how to act in normal circumstances, that he's so engulfed in this Batman character, and then I guess at the end he does see this light. He's kind of wrong in thinking this, but he thinks, hey, maybe me and Selena could get together, and like you're saying, this part might not work as well as it should. But to me, I could see kind of what they were going for at this point, and seeing how this character, he's changed, he's grown a little bit, but it's definitely a different sort of film, and I think we see that with this finale. The first one ended with the whole clock tower thing and Joker showdown. This one, I don't know. It seems like it climaxes, and then Penguin's still around, and then it has that weird scene with the little penguins carrying the penguin and put him in the water.
Oh my gosh.
And
that's insane.
And then, like you're saying, we have this little epilogue with Catwoman at the end, and I don't know. You're saying, it's very operatic. It builds to that. I love how the music swells in that one part. I like the ending. What do you think?
Well, like I said, it's kind of ambiguous. I see the good parts of it. I like what you just said, and of course you see the Catwoman looking up at the bat signal, so maybe she's not gone, But because this is a different world than the first one, then it's in a completely different world in the third one. So there's just a lot of unanswered questions left for me, like, does she stay with Bruce? I want to pose the question, do you feel like that Bruce is more damaged in this film than in the first, or what? Do you feel like he's more damaged because of, I guess, what happens with Vicky Vale and all that, and then meeting up with Selena?
Yeah, I don't think it's Vicky Vale as much. I think it's more just he's become so much into this character that It's taken over his life, and the ending. Yeah, I don't see them. It used to bother me, I guess, just because I'm like, I expected Catwoman to be back in the third one because I really liked her character. I really liked how she could keep dying and keep coming back. I don't know why I thought that was really cool as a kid, but nowadays it doesn't bother me. Now I'm kind of like, I see what it was going for, and the ending. It kind of bothers me just because I don't know how he feels. Is he that lonely? Is he that sad? Or is he just kind of like, hey, you know what? There's some hope. She's still out there. I don't know. It's definitely complicated. And like you're saying, it does leave you asking some questions. I don't know. They just did superhero movies different back in the day. They were just supposed to be their own thing. It wasn't about some connected universe or anything like that. It was just like, hey, let's tell a good Batman movie or story and see what people think about it.
That's the thing, man. Like, definitely the first two are connected. They're in the same universe, and while it may be a few years apart, they're still connected, and I think still same world. And even though there's a lot of the same actors in the third one, I don't think that's the same universe. I think we've pretty much start over. Now, there's some references to Catwoman and stuff in the third one, but I think that's just kind of like winking at the audience and all that kind of thing. I don't think there's a connected universe, if you will, once the third one, because it's a whole new vibe, obviously a new Batman and new director and all that kind of stuff. So what frustrates me about Batman Returns is there's a lot of questions. Now, as an adult, I can deal with it now and be like, yeah, I guess that's all right, because there's a lot of noir in these films, and in noir, there's a lot of unhappy endings. I mean, we talked about Double Indemnity a while back, and how that doesn't really have a happy ending, and really no noir has much of a happy ending, because that's just part of noir. And so you see that within this film especially. I think they kind of lean into that, especially at the very end with the Catwoman thing. And even though, I'm kind of romantic and would love to see them together, it probably makes more sense that they wouldn't end up. And it's probably better for them both that, maybe they shouldn't be together because they're so messed up.
Bruce, I would love to live with you in your castle. Forever, just like in a fairy tale. I just couldn't live with myself.
Do you feel like there's enough comic books to even call this a comic book movie? Because as we've talked about, I don't think there is. I don't think you can call this a comic book movie in the same way you could have even Batman. And I think that's probably the biggest difference between the first two films.
Yeah, I think it's trying to be its own thing, and I guess it was too Tim Burton-y, I guess, because like I said, I loved this film as a kid. I thought it was awesome. But it traumatized some people. I know my sister in particular, when the penguin came out of the sewer where he's gushing out blood and stuff,
man.
She was freaked out by that. Yeah. She had nightmares about it. Me, I was just like, this movie is so cool. I did not expect that to happen. And then I was also like, what? She just electrocuted him at the end? What the heck? So I dug it. But I still dig the Schumacher stuff that comes after this. I like it all. I think it's all good for being its own thing. And I think that's better when a movie does make that impact, as opposed to when a movie's just stale, when it's just kind of like, you know what, that was maybe a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, it's just kind of mid. To me, I like movies like this that have something to do with the story. They're trying to do something different. And if you do love this character more, if you do think that they kind of betrayed Batman a little bit, I could see why you have beef with it. I guess a few other things that kind of hold it back a little bit is the fight scenes are not the best. I mean, Michael Keaton could barely move. I know that's a big critique that you could have. But at the same time, as a person that grew up with this film, I probably have a little bit of a more nostalgic thing for it. But at the same time, I still think it works as a film. And as I was saying, I think it works as a Christmas film. I think it's not the happy, glowing Christmas film that most of us gravitate towards. It's kind of like the depressed sort of Christmas, for like you just had Christmas dinner, but nobody was there. But you know what? It's Christmas.
Yeah.
We're all experiencing this. So it's a little bit lonelier. Maybe that's why some people don't like it. But to me, it's still got the Christmas feeling to it.
I agree. I 100% agree. I mean, with the snow and everything, I think it's a really interesting thing to set it around Christmas because, you know, Christmas is supposed to be this holly jolly fun thing. And this film has a lot of darkness, as we said. It's a noir Christmas film, if you will. And I think that works extremely well. Are there parts of this film that I have issues with? Yeah, sure. Why not? You know, like you said, no film is perfect, and this one is far from it. But I'm with you, man. You wrote me into this film, and at first I don't think I was as accepted of it as you were initially. But we watched it so many times that I was finally like, yeah, this movie is pretty cool. So it had some cool toys. You had the Bruce Wayne Manor Batman Batcave combo that I had. So you had some really, really cool toys. They really marketed the crap out of this film. I think, what was it? McDonald's had a thing. And so there was a lot of merch out there for this film. And most of it was pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, and I think that probably the controversy of the time was this was a very adult-oriented film with a lot of sexual stuff that went over our heads at the time. And pretty violent film, but hey, I liked it. And yeah, not everybody can stomach stuff like this. That's up to parents and all that. But like you said, the toys were awesome. It was a great film. It was a good time. I still watch this one a lot. So here we are 30-something years later talking about Batman Returns. And I don't think we'll talk about it again next Christmas, just because we got to get around to other Christmas films at some point. But I will definitely watch this one regularly.
Well, come what may. Merry Christmas, Mr. Wayne.
Merry Christmas, Albert. Goodwill toward men.
On the next episode of the SuperCaZt.
Have a very Merry Christmas.
You can walk out of here or be carried out, but have no illusions, we are in charge.
That's right. The spirits are
Check the area confirmed.
No signs
We're
of
here
disturbance
tonight.
dispatch.
and that's enough. Simply having
I think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy.
Yippee-ki-yay. A wonderful Christmas time. The party's
On the next episode of the SuperCaZt.
Get together, have a few laughs.
If you guys haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. It helps us out, and give us a like. Let us know what you think about this film among all your other Christmas favorites like A Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation, because we definitely do. And had a lot of fun watching the film. Had a lot of fun as always. And like I said, we'll be doing Die Hard next, so stick around for that. And until next time, he's Steve Z and I'm the Super Foch. We'll see you guys next time on the SuperCaZt.